Passionate about. Nothing to do with
the first degree.
With trying to get to the top. I'm already at the top.
Okay.
So being at the top already gives me an opportunity to say, now I can do whatever I want to do. I can engage into my own plights of fancy. I've met all the requirements for a professor. I'm a professor. I've been all over the world. I published. That's it. Now I move on. And since a kid, I've always been interested in media, music, films, literature, things like that. So I said, let me move on. At that particular time, 1996, 97, there was a lot of controversy about literature in northern Nigeria.
Okay.
That controversy came about because northern Nigeria literature, youth literature, was basically focused on romantic stories, basically about romance. And the northern Nigerian cultural establishment, conservative establishment, felt that this is wrong. You shouldn't be talking about love. In the north, we don't talk about love openly at all. We don't even say it. You assume it. You assume that somebody loves you, so you don't really need to say it, especially between couples. But when you start writing it out, people saw it as a script for a licentious behavior. And therefore, there were a lot of sermons in the mosques, in the radio, against the literature. And that gave me my first hook. So, these guys don't like this thing. These guys are doing this thing. Let me see why. And let me see how it evolved. And that's how the whole thing started. So I started mapping out northern literature in terms of its consequences, in terms of the way people perceive it, and trying to look at exactly what it's all about. Now, I'm not a literary person. I don't have any degree in literature. I've never studied literature. So I approach the whole thing from the perspective of information technology. And the first thing that I did was I discovered that the Hausa language alphabet has about 6 hooked characters, 8 of them, 8 hooked characters. When you say hooked, it means they are glottal. When you pronounce them, you have to, they are glottal, like car, not car. But because they don't have any way of writing car, there is a hook on the K. They just write K. So it becomes car instead of car. So if you want to write a village in Hausa language, you say Kauye, you type Kauye. But the actual pronunciation is Kauye, this glottal thing. Now they don't have those fonts. So I created them using a program called Pantographer, which I actually had to order from Germany. So I bought the program. I have always been interested in programming, so I was able to do that because I was a database programmer also. So I created those tokens and I put them in public domain so that I can see how people could now express Hausa language more effectively. I wasn't interested in the morality of the debate. I don't care. I'm not interested in whether you're writing a good thing or a bad thing. As a scientist, I try to stay on the pens. My personal judgment don't matter. What matters is what you're doing in terms of its value. So I started looking at that. I pushed these points into the public domain, and everybody started using them. Then I discovered that the writers suddenly became film makers when the video technology became easily available. So I migrated and followed them, mapping them out, trying to understand what they do. If you like, you can call it ethnographic study, because I became part of them. I became part of the community, trying to understand their lives, their soul, and things like that. And that's when I discovered that there's a huge international interest in this issue, and I was the only person doing it at that perspective, from that angle, from that perspective. And then I started getting invitations to go and talk about this. And my first invitation was to Germany, then Kenya, and then so on, going all over the world. Because there are a lot of other researchers, what they call African studies researchers, who are interested in media and dynamism in Africa. So based on that, you have people just invited me, and at that time there was no theories. It wasn't like to me, it wasn't a serious, focused academic activity. It's something that I've always been passionate about. But then I started to learn the theory. I have to virtually educate myself. The Department of Mass Communication in Bayero University became astounded. They said, "But you are in science education, and you are doing all these things in media. Why don't you come over to us?" And I was honored. So I became a part-time lecturer in mass communication around 2005. And even then, I was more interested in online journalism and things like that. So it went on and on and on until 2012 when the university appointed me professor of media and cultural communication.
All right.
Yeah, so on the 11th of February, you were actually appointed as the Vice-Chancellor of the National Open University of Nigeria. The first time the students had come in contact with you was at a joint matriculation, the 15th matriculation ceremony of the university. You spoke to them a little about what you'll be doing for them in 5 years. Not everybody was there at that time, and this time almost all students are listening, at least to an extent. This should be like, they will want to know what your 5 years will be like, because there have been complaints of sometimes course materials not being given to them, and so many other stuff that have really affected them when it comes to actually writing exams and some difficulties they faced.
First of all, let me state clearly that I'm extremely happy, humbled, and proud to be appointed the Vice-Chancellor of National Open University. Many people may not know it, but I was part of this university at the very beginning in 2003 when the university was created. Professor Jigiri, the first Vice-Chancellor, was my teacher in Ahmadu Bello University, and when he was assembling course material writers, I was one of those to write. And I was not invited to write course materials in science education. And by that time, I've not moved into media and communication, but Jigiri knew me as somebody who was into computers, so I actually developed program for MIS, for postgraduate diploma in MIS. That's because I've been teaching MIS for years. After the workshop, the materials development workshop that set up the university in 2003 at Lokoja, Professor Jigiri offered me the deanship of the Faculty of Education, which I turned down because I wasn't interested in any administrative position. Subsequently, from 2003 up to last year, 2015, this year, 2016, I was invited to apply for the position of Vice-Chancellor in many universities for 5 years. I mean, for 5 different universities, including National Open University. When Jigiri finished his tenure, I was recommended to take over from Jigiri, and I said, no, I don't want it. We have the problem in the first instance because of misinterpretation of the Noun Act that established the university. Part of the Noun Act that established the university says that the university will offer courses by correspondence, and it is that word correspondence that caused a whole bunch of problems, because the Council for Legal Education that will authorize us to go to the law school insisted that law degree programs should not be either by correspondence or by part-time, and they have looked at our act and said, well, this is what your act said. So we try to convince them that no, yes, the idea that we could do things online was maybe a revolutionary concept at that particular period. We're talking about 1983. Okay, so there was no internet at that time. So the only way you can distribute it is through some other means of distribution. But when internet became available and we started using internet as a method of interactivity, we decided to change the act itself. And when we changed the act, law school did not object to the fact that we should not change our act. So we changed the act and took it to the National Assembly. It's taken long, but the idea is to remove the idea that we are part-time, to remove the idea that we are correspondence course, and convince the Council for Legal Education that open and distant learning is not like a part-time degree, it's a full-time degree. The only problem is that it's flexible. And so we are still working on it, and the Council for Legal Education has been absolutely wonderful. Really, they are also trying to understand us, to help us. But we have all these lawyers, they have all these legal things, so we have to clear all these legal hurdles before they can now put in their own personal thoughts. And I would like to appreciate them right away. They have been doing a wonderful job helping us, being sympathetic. So we are working on the issue of resolving it, and in order to convince them that we are really dead serious about all this, we decided to temporarily halt admission.
Okay.
The program is still on. We still have students from level 1 to level 500, but we have temporarily suspended admission because we don't want to compound the problem. We don't want a situation where we keep producing more people and then we have more problems. So we told NUC, this is our situation, we want to suspend, and NUC said they have accepted our logic. So this is the situation. For the NYSC, everybody wants to go and do NYSC, but the problem that NYSC faces is funding, like almost all agencies. And don't forget that the National Open University is a massive output of students. So one of the things we are trying to do is to see how NYSC can be more empowered to absorb more students so that they can go on the NYSC. Luckily, most of our students don't really need. Their style, I like everything. So I think there's one or two lines. So I'm sorry that I don't have any. I don't have any license to do it, so I'm just simply reciting it and acknowledging that it belongs to Grandmaster Flash on the Purest Fire. And that's how it goes. A child is born with no state of mind, blind to the ways of mankind. Yes.
Fantastic. Great one, great one. Where's the bell of blessing?
Okay, I do rap too. Maybe one of these days.
Yeah, right.
One of these precious partners. And the Vice-Chancellor will be my main challenger.
Oh, that's all right, no problem.
You're gonna have a rap battle in the studio.
Yeah. Well, that's why I said the Noun anthem is fantastic.
Yeah.
It's really beautiful. It is solemn. You know, it reminds you of the seriousness of the situation. But I'm dealing with a lot of young people. I'm dealing with cross-cultural people. And Hausa in the north, they rap a lot. Yoruba, they rap a lot. Igbo, they rap a lot. This is a language that unites you regardless of tribe or something like that. So we will come up with jingles that are heavily rap-based. And use them probably some of my favorite rappers like Davido and Idris Abdul Karim.
You know? Wow, we have a Yobi Vincent right here. Great one, sir. Great one, sir.
So we will get around to them so that we can now create a jingle. It may not be the anthem, but it could be a jingle so that you can be proud to download it.
So I'll be the ambassador for